back in town. Can you hear that joyful sound? Dust on the boots, wheels on the ground, from the mountains to the sea, where the truth still longs to be found. Colonel Chris has come on. Yeah, the Colonel's back in town.
Back to the land of 1,000 skies, golden sunsets and hopeful lives. Black, white, and brown, every story's told, every heartbeat's worth more than gold.
No spin, no games, no smoke or disguise, just steady hands and open eyes,
calling it straight wherever it's found. The Colonel's back in town. Every road has a story to tell, every heart knows when freedom rings well. When honest voices rise together, hope can outlast any weather.
The Colonel's back in town, raising voices gather round, from Cape Town all the way to Bay Bridge, across the valleys over every ridge, from Springbok down to Durban shore, standing for tomorrow more. Truth should never fear examination, hope can build a stronger nation. The Colonel's back in town.
Rolling through the countryside, listening close with nothing to hide, celebrating dreams that bloom, shining light inside the room.
When something's working, let it grow. When something's broken, let us know. Every voice deserves its day. Together we'll find a better way.
No nonsense and no hesitation, just thoughtful facts and observation. Looking ahead, connecting the lines, searching for tomorrow's signs.
From city streets to country farms, meeting folks with open arms. Every challenge, every win, the journey always starts within.
Truth is stronger in the light, honest hearts can make things right. Side by side we'll always stand, building hope across the land.
The Colonel's back in town, raise your voices, gather round, from Cape Town all the way to Bay Bridge, across the valleys over every ridge, from Springbok down to Durban shore, standing for tomorrow more. Truth should never fear examination, hope can build a stronger nation. The Colonel's back in town.
Sunlight shines where shadows hide,
Let honesty become our guide.
lift the good and face what's wrong.
That's how every heart grows strong.
The Wyatt Army knows the way,
Standing together every day.
honest folks still answer the call.
Standing together, standing tall.
Seeking justice, liberty for all. United we'll never fall.
The Colonel's back in town. Lift those voices, sing it loud. Across South Africa we're rolling. Every mile another story unfolding. Every neighbor, every friend. Truth and hope will never end. We know who we are, we know where we stand. Walking together across this land. Truth should never fear examination. Faith and courage build a nation. The Colonel's back in town. Yeah, Chris is back around. The Colonel's back in town.
Oh yeah, Colonel's back in town, folks. I'm back. Good evening. That light is not quite working out right. Okay, how's that? That's a little better there. Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the program. Chris, live in the Western Cape in Gordons Bay. My home away from home, Gordons Bay in Somerset West. Even though I love Pretoria, this place really draws me back here. So, yeah, I know that. Hey, Bianca Janssen from Furen, I came up with that song, and I made it just for this tour. It's on the thumb drive. If people want the thumb drive, I still have plenty of those when I go to the meet and greets. Also, a little announcement here. I have been able to find, I believe, a manufacturer to produce some caps for the tour. So once I get to Gauteng, we may have caps available, and they'll be at a very reasonable price if you want a tour cap when you come to the meet and greet. So, all right. So there's a little surprise. That was a bit of a surprise for me, but someone's offered to help with that. And so we'll see how it goes. And if the first run goes well, maybe we'll work on doing more merch. Okay. All right. So good evening. Again, this isn't the regular news broadcast. It's news, chat, update on the tour, what's been happening. So I'll give you an update of today's events, but let me just say hello to some of the people in chat. I won't catch all of you here. I'm really am knackered here, and I've got stuff to do. I've got videos to edit yet tonight. Pizza Party, Yassine, our moderator extraordinaire, is here. Body Duplessis, Vodka Model's back. How's the little guy doing? And then Luva Eve is here. Dylan Kalmerick, one of the OGs. Elmarie Mayer. Who else we got there? Loretta's here. Hey, Loretta, I still need to call you. Adele, welcome to you. Excuse me. Ingrid's Inspirations, Kelly Morrow. Apologies for the snot. Louise, my teddy bear provider. And let's see who else we got there. Bianca Janssen from Jern. Pizza Party. Already said that. It's Andre. Lynn Harris. That was all before we even started. Nico Sculpt is here. Sue Marie is back. Rena Watt. Judy DeLong. Okay, who else? Denver Pillay here. Hey, Denver. Marley's Hayes. Jarethra. Vodka Model. Okay. Paul de Klerk. Yeah, South Africa is always a place where I can enjoy myself, and I meet some amazing people here. But I am picking up the crud from somebody, so that's not great. Excuse me, I have to cough. And it's a wicked one, too. Terminator's back. Marley's Hayes. Love your top you're wearing. Thank you. I picked this one up at Sportsman's Warehouse at V&A Waterfront. Here you go. It zips up like that, but I'm going to keep it up for now. Amelia, JSA, I can't do everybody, so I'm sorry. I apologize not catching everybody here, but I got to stop there because I got to focus. Oh, they make the wind here and ship it around the country. Is that how it works? I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that. Jeez. It'll be the death of me. So I started my day in Cape Town, and I went to the High Court this morning and heard arguments against the Expropriation Act, the High Court. I left there with the V&A Waterfront, got recognized there, of course, got recognized at the High Court. Not just the people I know already, but people I didn't know. Inside the High Court, people came up to me and recognized me. I don't even know who they were, so it was pretty cool. I left there, and I drove to visit Erica. Erica, of course, one of the OGs, one of our original moderators. She is doing well. She wasn't doing so well for a while there, but she's doing quite well. I visited her and had a lovely time, and I got invited to speak at the location where she lives. It's a place for elder care and for people who are infirm, and so she's there. I think that's the best term to describe the place. And I've been asked to come do a speech there, or give a presentation, so I'll try to do that when I come back to Cape Town. Meet and greet, not the hell. What? Stay away from that COVID horsey. What are you talking about? Terminator. Saw a short and natural cure for cough. Send it to you. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Magoo. All right, so that was today. Tomorrow, I've got a meeting in the morning, then another one at lunchtime. But tomorrow at 4 p.m., Im Eimer in Somerset West is the next meet and greet. If you'd like to come, if you're down here in Gordons Bay, Somerset West, or Strand, and maybe even Stellenbosch, if you want to come to meet and greet, 4 p.m., Im Eimer. Last year, that was the last meet and greet I did was Im Eimer. And at that meet and greet, Bruce, the service dog, and the Oosthuizens were there. So let's see if it's as memorable this year around. That apparently was good luck for Bruce and for Levi and for the whole family, Lehani and everyone. And that went really well for them. They actually got to come to America, and they got a lot out of that meet and greet. So that was the last one I did last year was Im Eimer in Somerset West. Tomorrow, we're replicating that at 4 p.m. So if you want to come to that, you're more than welcome. Please join us at Im Eimer. Saturday, the plan is, I have to schedule this, is we're going to do Woodbridge Island. All right, and I'll get back with you. I've got a meeting Saturday morning, but after that, we'll do Woodbridge Island. If anybody is going to the Springboks game, not Springboks, excuse me, the Stormers game on Friday against the All Blacks, I will be there. I'll also be going to the Curry Cup game on Sunday. So, all right. Garrett Gillich just gave the address, 34 Old Sir Lowry's Pass Road. Yep, at 1600. Okay, there it is. Thanks, by the way, Garrett, always for scheduling those things for me. I appreciate you locking it down for us. So that's tomorrow at 4 p.m. I look forward to seeing everybody, including the crew, Garrett's crew, if they're able to make it. If you can't be there at 4 o'clock because you have to work or something like that, don't sweat. I'll still be there long after 4 o'clock. Okay. I'll be there after 5 for sure. Yesterday's meet and greet was brutal for me because of my cough. I spent 4 hours plus doing meet and greet. And that was after I arrived late. I felt guilty, so I stayed later. But the truth is, I always stay usually as late as I can. But I didn't have anywhere else I had to be yesterday, so took care of that. Okay. Yes, Dylan, I know I'll see you at Woodbridge. I can count on that. All to his glory. You tomorrow in Somerset West in Mimer. I know you're trying to break the record for meet and greets attended, but you got a ways to go. Garrett has the record, and number 2 behind him is Coquetto Rosani. Garrett's been to I think 6 or 7 of them. How's the trip going? Quite well. It's been interesting so far. I don't know where Maitland is. Woodbridge Island is in Milnerton. I don't know what Maitland is. It's in Milnerton. Yeah, Nico says I'll see you there. Yeah, I've just got to get it scheduled. So just don't let's not count our chickens before they hatch because I haven't contacted them yet. So okay. How long will it reach me more or less? As I really want to get to the music disc. Well, those meet and greets typically go Woodbridge. They've usually gone for about 2 hours. We'll see how it goes. But I've done 5-7 hour meet and greets last year. Yeah, Milnerton. No, don't apologize. No need to apologize. You haven't done anything wrong. You haven't been disrespectful or rude. So no need to apologize. You just mistaken. I haven't set it up yet, Bain. So just wait and see. Okay. All right. Figure around lunchtime. It's a Saturday. So what else are you doing? There's no rugby. Well, there is Curry Cup, but it won't start until later in the afternoon. Yes. Yeah, it's a hoodie. It's not a jersey. So it is nice, but I hate the Nike, put Nike on my nipple. I don't really care for Nike on my nipple. I can do without that. Anyway. So yeah, let's talk turkey here, folks. The channel today, we finally surpassed 129,500. I think that's the total. Let me take a quick look and see where we're at on subscribers here. Just to keep you updated. Where the heck is it at? Sorry. Hard to focus when you're sick. It takes a lot of effort. I think a lot of you know that because you watch my program. 129,503 subscribers. We are crawling along this month. I noticed a sharp drop off in views from the time I left Orania until yesterday. Then it recovered a little bit, but that's kind of a bummer. But again, it's not about the views, but it is about influencing people. And I'm discovering that something I already knew, but now getting actual confirmation is that a lot more people know about my content, not because of my content, but because of my stolen content that people are posting on TikTok, on Facebook. People keep recognizing me from Facebook and TikTok and things I never posted, but someone stole my content. So anyway, I guess it's like news, all news is good news, So I do want to, before we get into news, talk about this situation with the Vermont St. Michael's Episcopal Church. If you saw my video, which is now pushed over 7,000 plus views, which is not bad for now, but we really got to get this algorithm working for us again. So the St. Michael's Episcopal Church in Brattleboro, Vermont has announced to the public that they, through Peter Gallagher, a volunteer, that they will not help South African refugees. Now, last year, famously, I told you that the Episcopal Church of America is a racist or at least bigoted organization. Their argument for ending their participation in helping all refugees last year was that they're not going to help white South Africans because they supported Archbishop Desmond Tutu. But I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China. That's poppycock. So, I support Archbishop Desmond Tutu, but I also have no problem with South African refugees because I'm not a bigot and a racist. But apparently the Episcopal Church is. And they last year withdrew from the program, harming hundreds of thousands of refugees who were receiving their services across America because they're a bunch of pig-headed bigots and obviously racists, or at least race hustlers. Their understanding of history is skewed. Their understanding of Afrikaners is faulty. Their understanding of the refugee program is ignorance of the highest order. First off, the program is, and apologies, Steve Hofmeyer, I state the facts, and I know that you don't like this fact, but the reality is the program is open to Afrikaner ethnicity and all racial minorities. And beyond that, even Black South Africans have gone over. We have couples, interracial couples, a couple of them, that have gone over with a Black spouse and a white spouse who was the primary applicant. And then, of course, we have adopted children of white South Africans who've gone over. And, of course, there are many coloreds who've gone over and also some Indians. So their arrogance to not help South Africans is harming all refugees. So, for instance, as I said to you many, many times, the refugees get assistance for up to 3 to 5 years for many services. Not rent, not medical, not cash, no, but they are there to provide assistance to help you acclimatize and become acclimated and integrated into American society. And for people from places like Afghanistan or the Congo or Kyrgyzstan or Sudan, that may take a lot longer than someone from South Africa. But the point is that they have to provide services and they're paid for that. Now, because the Episcopal Church pulled out, they've abandoned Ukrainians and Afghans who've come over in the past few years and no longer providing services to them. To me, that is the height of stupidity. It also shows you that the so-called faith-based organization is not a faith-based organization. It's a racket. It's not there to help people based on their Christianity. It's not there to help people based on their humanity. It's there to make money and pay its employees, which is what these organizations do. And there's nothing wrong with making money, but there is something wrong with coding yourself and cloaking yourself in the veneer of Christianity and behaving like a satanic ass, which is what the Episcopal Church has done. And this church, St. Michael's in Brattleboro, Vermont, will be receiving an in-person visit from me in the near future. Oh yeah, it's all like Donkey Kong. You're going to act like an ass. I'm going to expose you as an ass. Mr. Gallagher, we're going to go to Brattleboro, Vermont, and we're going to film your church. And we'll see if you're real Christians by inviting me into your church, because I'm a Christian. And if you don't invite me in, we'll know what frauds you are. And why do you have a church then? What's the purpose if you're not true Christians? Is it just to take money from your parishioners so you can have a salary? Ooh, I think I just hit below the belt. They deserve to hit below the belt because they're acting like asses. They are. There's a super chat there, super sticker from Herman Ruiz. What's going on? Goeienaand, Herman. You can see I'm a bit under the weather. So they have publicly stated they won't help. Now, the refugee agency there that is helping refugees, the actual agency gets paid for this, Ethiopian agency of some sort, they say that they have no dog in this fight. They receive refugees and they will help all refugees. Now, that's the right answer, the correct answer. And the Episcopal Church says the reason that they have a problem with this is that it was unfair of Trump to end the program for everybody. Well, not if you're a patriotic American, it wasn't unfair, because we have people flooding into our country, dumped in our neighborhoods without our consent, without even telling us about it. And suddenly we have people that are alien who refuse to assimilate and are flooding our schools and also driving up our rents because they're occupying housing without our consent. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't allow refugees to come to the country. What I'm saying is that they've done this for years, but suddenly they have a problem because the refugees are white. But they didn't have a problem when 300,000 Ukrainians flooded into America in a 3-year period as refugees. Did they? They helped the Ukrainians. Last time I checked, they were white, Christian. A lot of them got blonde hair and blue eyes. I mean, isn't that supposed to be the Antichrist? White people with blonde hair and blue eyes? People look like me. Aren't we supposed to be evil? Yes. Well, they had no problem helping Ukrainians. But because they're historically stunted, because they have the education of a 6-year-old, they think that white South Africans are racist. Here's a newsflash for you. Look in the mirror. The racism is coming from the Episcopal Church and the church in Brattleboro, Vermont. Shame on you. And because you've canceled your service, you're not helping Afghans, you're not helping all these people. And their argument was that this is a favored class of people, white people. Refugees historically coming to America from the Second World War until the 1990s were overwhelmingly white, except for the Vietnamese and the Hmong who came in the 70s when Vietnam collapsed. Except for them in Laos. Except for them, virtually every refugee who came to America from 45 until 1990 was a white European. Nobody had a problem with that. So why do they have a problem with white South Africans? Because they're bigots. They're racist. They don't like white people. And of course, they are white people. Self-loathing leftist. Shame on them. All right, that's enough of my opening monologue. My nose is still acting up here. Let's go and get to some of the news tonight. And we've already covered that one extensively. I'll probably mention it briefly again shortly. But let me get to some of these stories and we'll get through them rapidly. Not a lot of analysis tonight because my mind isn't all that clear. The suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, not to be confused with the hero, the Lieutenant General, who's a true hero of South Africa, has been arrested again. Yeah. The net is closing around the murder probe after the independent police investigative director of the IPID and arrested suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi and 4 co-accused over the 2022 brutal slaying of Emmanuel Mbenze. So they got him. He's been arrested again. All to his glory, says, my parents say hello. Well, back at your parents. Hello to them. Thank you for the 14 Rand super chat. Okay, so at the High Court today, where I was at, the Western Cape High Court, the presidency has defended the Just and Equitable Standard and Expropriation Act. Excuse me? Just and equitable? No compensation? That's flies in the face of the International Declaration of Human Rights, of which South Africa's ANC is a signatory, that respects private property rights. It also flies in the face of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, which gave South Africa duty-free access to the U.S. marketplace, provided they respect private property rights. Oh, and it also, imagine this, violates Section 25 of the South African Constitution, which says that the government must have a willing buyer, willing seller, and have an agreed upon price that's just and equitable. Nil is not just and equitable. Nil is an insult to the English language. It means zero. You cannot give zero compensation. That is not compensation. That's a joke. The fact that we're even talking about this is beyond comprehension. You know that there's no way that George Orwell could have even written this novel about South Africa, about how Orwellian this has become. When high court judges are sitting there, justices debating the term nil, here's a newsflash for you all. Nil means nothing, and nothing is unacceptable under the Constitution. You can't simply write laws that violate the Constitution. And here's a newsflash to Western Cape High Court. Even though you just recently overruled the Constitutional Court, which is an apex court, which is higher than the Western Cape High Court, how does a lower court overrule a high court? That's insane. You don't have that right. You don't have that authority, and that's going to be thrown out. Just a matter of time. And I think that the judges who decide on that case should be sanctioned and maybe even be impeached over their conduct. The cheek of overruling the apex court. If the apex court is wrong, then you come up with a constitutional amendment and you correct the court. Anyway, the presidency is defending just and equitable. What a concept. And I'll tell you what, I want a job in the South African president. Vincent Magwenya, why don't you give me a job, buddy? I can talk bullshit every night too. I can make stuff up and pull it out of my backside. Hang on, wait. Yes, South African Constitution. So I don't know what the role of international law plays. I have mentioned the International Declaration of Human Rights, not because it's a legal obligation, but because it was a promise. It was a promise to uphold a standard. And the South African government has betrayed that promise, as it's betrayed the people of South Africa. Bear in mind, folks, this isn't about farms. This isn't about farms. The term is property. Property includes copyrights, trademarks, bank accounts, retirement funds, stocks, bonds, Krugerrands, buckies, not buckies Botha, but actual buckies. It includes all property. The government now has the authority in South Africa, unless this court has stayed this act from going forward while this court case is heard, has the authority to take your property at any whim without any explanation whatsoever. And it's not just at the national level, it's at the provincial and the local level. Can you imagine Andili Lungiza having the authority to take your apartment in Port Elizabeth? Maybe if he goes to your apartment, he can break jugs over other people's heads. Can you imagine handing this sort of power to Julius Malema? Giving this power to the ANC? Well, they've taken the power. This is inhumane. It's a violation of moral and ethical standards, and it's a clear violation of Section 25. Why this case even exists, I don't know. I mean, you don't have to be a constitutional attorney to read the Constitution, to understand the Constitution, and to debate the Constitution. It's pretty clear. The architects of this Constitution, while they made it one of the longest constitutions in the world at 78 pages, nonetheless, were brilliant when it came to this. And now we're debating what they said. Why don't we bring the people in from 30 years ago who are still alive, who actually crafted this Constitution, and talk to them about what their intent was? Will they appear before the justices? I have heard no mention of that. All right, moving on from that topic. The Democratic Alliance is demanding the speaker face a reprimand over a 5.9 million rand trip to Venezuela designed to enrich delegates. What the hell does that mean? Delegates received $125,000 each in allowance despite leaving Venezuela after 2 days following security concerns. So why did they get the allowance? They shouldn't have gotten it. It should have been prorated. So this is the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Speaker, Morakane Musapuya. Wow. Well, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. She won't face any consequences. So let's move on from that. The Mining Council has warned that new beneficiation rules could backfire. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. The South African mining sector, which has collapsed. You know, not a new mine, not a single new mine is opened in South Africa in a decade. The country used to live off of mining. It was the world's largest gold producer for over a century. Do you know where South Africa ranks today in gold production? 10th. Behind the United States, Russia, Australia, Ghana. 10th. behind China. China mines more gold in China than South Africa mines in South Africa. I guess we can't call it Egoli. We can't call it Gauteng anymore. It's not gold. Why? Because we're not mining it. Well, it's also pretty deep here and expensive. But the problem is that this BEE cater enrichment into the mining sector has destroyed the mining sector. All the white monopoly capital sold their interest off for the most part to BEE companies who've invested nothing into mining and done nothing. As a consequence, South Africa's commodities are simply not available to make money off of. There are exceptions. Platinum is still doing well. Manganese is doing well. Coal, lots of coal shipping to China so they can pollute the planet. But, gold, forget about it. Gold is a disaster in this country. Oh, boy. Well, Chad Leclos lost his Sea Point home in a fatal fire. That's crazy. Olympic champion Chad Leclos lost his Sea Point home in a fire that claimed the life of a 93-year-old man. He was at the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow when the blaze struck. Excuse me. He's launched a donation campaign through his foundation, pledging 100% of funds to help displaced neighbors. The fire was contained around 21:30, and the flare-up was suppressed the next day. That's unfortunate. It's a few days ago, Chad Leclos, the Olympian from South Africa. Parliament has suspended the National Colored Congress President Fidel Adams and MKMP Skosana, and they've docked their salaries. National Colored Congress President Fidel Adams and MK Party Member of Parliament David Skosana have been suspended for breaching ethical codes. Hey, can you throw the name Malema in there? How about Cyril Ramaphosa? I mean, honestly, can we throw that name in there? I mean, breaching ethics. I mean, again, I'll allow that Cyril is innocent, but why isn't he answering the case? Remember, he said he would respect the Constitutional Court's decision. And the Constitutional Court said he had a case to answer for, and he immediately went to the courts to stop it from happening. He asked for an emergency interdict to prevent it from happening. I mean, seriously, what's going on here? I thought he was going to respect the court. But maybe he needs an ethics violation reporting. Why don't they censor him? Oh, because he's the president and he has privileges. But then again, who can forget Pala Pala? Under the cushions, where the cash will stay. Money stuffed in my sofa.
Money stuffed in my sofa.
A treasure untold.
She was got a game ranch. Stories untold. Pala Pala. Ritzy joint. Glimmer and gold. Stay overnight, don't you stray. Couch cushions hide in rainy day. Pala Pala, where the secrets lay. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala Pala, don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day.
The previous musical interlude was brought to you by the Pala Pala Game Ranch, where you too can purchase a Ancola bull for $580,000 and we'll keep the ribbon board until it passes away. If you don't want the bull semen, we'll keep it for ourselves. Yes. Sorry about that musical interlude, folks. That was sponsored by the Pala Pala Game Ranch. Anyway, Fidel Adams has been suspended, and this is long overdue. He's been acting like a fool. I met Fidel Adams a couple years ago, courtesy of Neil DeBeer. No, it wasn't Neil DeBeer. It wasn't Neil DeBeer. Yep. Yeah, I think it was courtesy of Neil DeBeer. Yep. Anyway, so he's been suspended, and the MK guy as well. It's about time, and I'll probably do a video on that to talk about it more later on. All right. Well, the citrus community is not doing so well in South Africa. They're exporting a lot less this year. Citrus Growers Association of Southern Africa has cut its forecast for citrus exports this year by more than 4 million cartons. That's a lot of money. Citing lower than expected harvests of mandarins, navel oranges, grapefruit, but a stronger lemon crop has partly offset that decline. The industry now expects to export 205.3 million 15-kilogram cartons for the 2026 season, down from 209 million last year. Well, not a disaster, but not ideal. But that'll probably drive prices up. So what are your thoughts? I haven't done a poll on this, but do you think that it made sense that Jacob Zuma chose his son to be his deputy president for the MK party. What do you think? Well, according to the Times Live poll, 76% of the respondents said it's a bad move, but only 251 people voted. This story has been published now since 12:48 this afternoon. That would be about 8 hours, folks. 8 hours, and only 251 people have read this story and responded to this poll. You know, Cyril Ramaphosa can attract more flies than people watching that report in Times Live. Really sad. Let's turn our attention to the United States now, where the Muslim lunatic has won the Democratic primary, it appears, in Michigan. Dr. Abdul El Sayed, a beneficiary of capitalism and free market democracy in the United States, who hates free market democracy and capitalism, which he's profited from immensely and got his education and been welcomed with open arms as a radical lunatic Muslim, is now betraying America. He is running essentially as a democratic socialist, seeking to undermine and destroy the very country that gave him succor. He defeated Representative Haley Stevens, a moderate in a bitter, expensive race that divided Democrats. Both moved quickly to unite their lunatic party, the Democrats. He won by 14,000 votes, 740,000 to 726,000. And he has very strong concentration. Surprisingly, he won on the Upper Peninsula. I mean, it's just a bunch of old white folks live in the Upper Peninsula. Who are they voting for? Maybe they misread what the poll said. Anyway, Michigan voters need their head checked. Dr. Abdul El Sayed, a progressive and vocal critic of Israel, of course, he's a Jew hater, edged Representative Haley Stevens, a moderate, early Wednesday to win the Michigan Senate Democratic primary. It's a high-profile victory for the ascendant political left. Yes, well, this is a problem. We could have a radical Muslim lunatic sitting in the Senate next January. He's opened his general election race fight by branding his opponent, the Republican, as a Trump bootlicker. Well, you're a radical Islamist bootlicker, buddy. So, you know, birds of a feather. Fresh off securing Michigan's Democratic Senate nomination, opened the general election fight by casting former Representative Mike Rogers as another yes man for President Trump, and himself as a fighter ready to confront the president and the entrenched powers he says have left the working class behind. He doesn't care about the working class. The Democrats never care about the working class. What did they fix? What did they do when Biden was president? They drove up our prices by 50, 60, 70, 80%. Everything doubled, and the price of petrol or gasoline tripled. It did come back down eventually. That's what they gave us. They gave us that and 30 million illegal aliens invading our country, driving up rents, sucking up houses and apartments that were meant for Americans and permanent residents. Yeah, that's what they gave us. They did nothing for the unions. They did nothing for auto workers. What did Trump do? Leaving the working class behind. Are you brain dead, Mr. Saeed? Trump ended taxes on tips, which the Democrats brought in back in the 1980s. Trump ended taxes on Social Security. Trump ended taxes on overtime. Do you know how much more money is going in the pockets of low and middle income Americans as a consequence of that? Tens of billions of dollars going in their pockets directly. Left the working class behind. These liars, these Verrayas, these Lügners and Betrügners, this is what they do. They lie to the stupid people, the low information voter. Trump is the champion of the working class. Trump has brought 22 billion, or is it trillion now? It's trillion, 22 trillion in commitments into the United States for direct investment from abroad, and also commitments from Americans to build factories in America. Yet the media lie about him every day. And you know what? If this guy, Mike Rogers, is a Trump yes man, you know what? I'm not all in the tank with Trump, but I'll take a Trump yes man over a Faraya, a traitor who betrayed the nation. Someone who profited from our system and betrays it and wants to bring radical Islamic fanaticism and socialism to America. You know what, buddy? The South Africans have a word for that. It's called futsek. I have a phrase for it. Piss off. All right. That's enough of that clown. Let's move on. So what else we got here to talk about before we answer your questions? Labor experts say unemployment looks brighter as pay rises and jobless claims have fallen. Oh, the economy is terrible in America. It's horrible. That 4.1% unemployment is just unbelievably horrible. Imagine that. I mean, in South Africa, it's only 39 to 42%. So, I mean, 4% in America must be the end of the world, according to the media in the U.S. And look at this. Jobless claims have declined. The GDP is growing. Interest rates have come down. The price of gasoline fluctuates, of course, but that's because of the Iran conflict and Donald Trump refusing to just bomb them to smithereens, which he needs to do. But the economy is surging. We're the only major developed country in the world with a growing economy at the present. But you never know that. from the Cassandras in the media, because they lie and they lie and they lie. Well, the White House has declassified documents on the FBI probe into whether Trump fired Comey at Russia's urging. They investigated whether Trump fired Comey at Russia's urging. Why the hell would Russia care about Comey? Comey's a traitor to America. The Russians love traitors to America because they can buy them. Why in the world would Trump fire them at Russia's behest? That'd be like saying, Trump fired Hillary Clinton because Russia wanted to. Hillary Clinton was Russia's best friend. She gave them all the uranium. They own most of the uranium mines in America now, the Russians. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. The goal of the investigation is to determine if President Trump is or was directed by, controlled by, or in coordinating activities with the Russian Federation in a manner that constitutes a threat to the national security of the United States and violation of. This is insane. These people are so disrespectful. This Trump derangement syndrome, they all need a timeout, and they need, Mr. Fuji in Singapore. Come here. We're going to cane your ass. That's what they need. They all need to be caned. They're just stupid people. Stupid people. And you know what? Stupid people should wear signs. They really should. All right, folks, that's going to do the news. A shortened version of it, but I'm still here to answer your questions. Yeah, the world has gone mad, virtual Western Cape. See, you're virtual Western Cape. I'm actual Western Cape. Dude, I'm in the Western Cape. You're virtual. I'm real. I'm here. It's the real deal. All right, let's see what we got. Virtual cards for each online purchase with an expiry date, enough to cover the cost. Then I freeze the card after transaction. That's interesting. What are you guys talking about? Somebody's card get corrupted? Told my wife not to use my apps. Okay. Oh, your card must have been compromised. Lynn Harris. What else we got here? Everybody's talking Afrikaans. I'm half out of my mind here trying to translate the Afrikaans tonight. It's not easy in my head here. Previous month, Uber billed me via scam. I had to stop that card. Yeah, the scams are getting out of control. So Citizen Concern did a good video called Cobra Effect, reference land compensation. People invade land knowing government will bump them up the list for OTP house first those applied. I don't know if that's true, but it makes sense. Judy Lang, thank you for the 70 Rand super sticker. Appreciate that. All right. There's another one by Tinky Keiser. Thank you for the 70 Rand. Nedbug. Okay. You guys are talking about your credit cards. I'm doing the news. What am I, chopped liver over here? Hey, over here. The show's here, not your chat. My goodness. Charles must have been scammed. And Luva Eve gave 140 Rand. Thank you for that. Okay, and then what else? Projector G tore up Peter Creel monologue. Was great to watch. I haven't seen the Peter Creel. What did Peter Creel say? The little twerp is barely out of his teens and wants to tell her when he's right or wrong. He doesn't know anything. I mean, he just gets attention because he betrays Afrikaners and hates white people. He's just like Jack Markowitz, a self-loathing white person. They fall into that category with Max Dupree and Carl Nyhorst. Or is it Niehaus? I think it's Nyhorst. Anyway, just saying. It's a friend told me that. So anyway, whatever. Somebody's asking something and then somebody deleted because thought they were a troll. Okay, what did he ask? Killed in their land. Did they receive penny? Honestly, guys, just what natives? What natives talking about? You talking about the Khoi and San who were murdered by the Nguni-speaking peoples when they invaded southern Africa, crossing the Zambezi 1,600 years ago and the Limpopo River 1,300 years ago, and then pushing the San into the Kalahari? People didn't go live in the Kalahari because it was a nice beach location. They went there because they were being chased there by cattle herders who came down the Rift Valley. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the natives you're talking about? Because that's the only natives in South Africa. Black people aren't native to South Africa. White people aren't native to South Africa. They are now, but the native indigenous people of this land, of this area, for 50,000 years, were the people who became the Khoi and San. It's a biological fact. It's an archaeological fact. It's a historical fact. It's indisputable. Only racists and race hustlers will dispute that. They were here first. You want to play this who came first? Then all you white people can foot second. All you black people can foot second. The only people who stay here are the Khoi and San, and the color can stay because they got a lot of Khoi and San. And for the Afrikaners who do a DNA test and prove that they've got Khoi and San, I suppose they can stay too. Fair enough? The rest of you can foot second. I mean, this is a silly argument. This is lost to the sands of time. Lost to the sands of time. Conquest is a legitimate means of political discourse. It always has been. It's recognized internationally. That's why we have laws of land warfare. We have Geneva Conventions. Conquest is a recognized form of political discourse. Warfare is an unfortunate form of political discourse. It should be the last resort, but it is legitimate. That's the bottom line. We have people now trying to namby-pamby, wearing their adult nappies, pretending that, war is not allowed. War is allowed between states when they can't reach an agreement. Now, I hope they don't have war. Having served in combat multiple times, it's not pleasant. People die. They become disfigured. They become irreparably harmed, including civilians and military. But it is a legitimate means of political discourse. And the land that was lost, the areas that were conquered, that's the way it is. So if we're going to play this game, then the Ndebele need to get their ass out of Zimbabwe and move back to South Africa, where they came from, the KZN, before they fled from Dingane. Mzilikazi took his tribe into what is today Zimbabwe because the Trekboers and the Griqua and the Tswana and the Sotho teamed up and chased them into Zimbabwe. That's a historical fact. You can't deny it. There were no Ndebele, for the most part, in what is today Zimbabwe before Mzilikazi went there and established his throne in what is today Bulawayo. Didn't happen. They weren't there. They were people that didn't want to be Zulu and fled from Dingane. And then they preyed upon the Trekboers and the Griquas and the Tswana and the Basotho until they teamed up and pushed them north. So, that means that half of the population of Zimbabwe needs a footsec as well. I don't know where they go except back to South Africa. I mean, these are silly games you guys can play all day. But the problem is you can't come here with bullshit. Because I'm a historian, I'm a political scientist, and I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't own land in South Africa. I don't have a girlfriend here. I don't have a wife here. I don't own property. I don't have bank accounts here. I'm an objective historian and political scientist. And I believe in the objective truth. Not my truth, not your truth. There's no such thing. Just the truth and the facts. All right? Denver Pile, thank you for 14 Rand. Appreciate that. Yep. All right. Student, welcome to you. Alto's Glory. Thank you both for the super stickers. All right. Now I got to catch up with the chats that have come in since then. Okay. They don't want land. Working land is hard. No, people don't want land. Nobody wants to be a farmer. Well, the Boers do. It's in their blood. That's who they are. They're crazy. I was a farmer. It sucks. It's hard work. It's not something you want to be doing at the age of 68. Not that I'm 68. Don't even try that crap. But it's not something you want to be doing in your 60s. I was a dairy farmer. 7 days a week. 365 days a year. And even leap years. You're up at 4:30 in the morning, milking cows at 5 o'clock. Milking cows at 5:30 every day. You don't get a break. That's how it works. No vacations, no holidays. That's tough life. Now, cattle rancher is a little bit different. You take a break here and there. You hire somebody to do the work, watch after your cattle or your sheep. But being a farmer is a tough life. And you're subject to microbes that can affect your crops or affect your herd. You are subject to rain that never falls or an abundance of rain that floods out your crops and kills them all. You are subject to scorching sun. You are subject to, in this country, land invaders and thieves who steal your stock and murder your sheep and your goats and your cows. Well, being a farmer isn't fun, folks. And people don't want to be farmers in South Africa by and large. They just want a plot to put a home on, most of them. And this whole thing about land, see, that's the thing that kills me. Land is wealth. It's not. When you own land, you know what you do? You become a debtor. How are you a debtor? Because the state taxes your land. You have to pay to own your land, something you've already purchased. Every year you pay tax. I pay taxes on my lot in Pennsylvania every year to the tax man. If I don't pay my $10,000 in taxes every year, they take my little plot. Over the course of 30 years, I paid for the price of my house in taxes for that land. It's a scam. Why do I want to own land? I don't want to own land. Unless I go to Wyoming, maybe I want to own it there. But the point is that people got their heads screwed on backwards. Land is not the source of wealth. It can be. But Ted Turner didn't get rich by owning land. He got rich, then he owned land. Bill Gates didn't get rich by owning land. He got rich from technology. Turner from communications, and then they bought land. Yes, some people are rich because they own land, but there's far more people who are rich because they had ideas, because they applied their ideas in the tech world, in pharmaceuticals, or investors like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. They bought businesses and they improved them and made them worth more. So you don't have to own land to be rich. It's a false narrative. It can. but land is not the answer. This is a bullshit argument perpetrated on the people of South Africa by race hustlers who seek to divide white, brown, and black South Africans. Here's the true story about land in South Africa. The agreement was made at CODESA, the Convention for Democratic South Africa, in the early 1990s, that land claims could be back to 1910 when the Union South Africa Act was approved, and South Africa for the first time ever existed as a country. Before that was the Cape Colony under the Brits, and before that Dutch, and before that it was the Straatlopers, the Bushmen who ran around, and then the Natal Colony and African kingdoms. And then the Union South Africa Act by the Brits, 1910, declared it South Africa. So the agreement was you could take land claims back to then. 1913, the Native Lands Act came into play, and contrary to the myth spread in all schools, it did not relegate blacks to 13% of territory. Subsequent acts eventually led to that, but the 1913 Act didn't do that. It did restrict land ownership, but black South Africans owned land for decades after that. In fact, black South Africans actually voted at that time. Not many, but some. So the problem is that people lie about history. That doesn't make what happened during the apartheid era okay or acceptable. It just means that people need to have a more objective view of what's going on here. Excuse me. All right, so enough of that land story. Where can we get your schedule? Bianca, you can't get my schedule because of threats. It's not safe to give it out. I don't want to endanger my viewers. I don't want to endanger myself. I will announce these things with video shorts as the trip progresses, and you'll know where I'm going. All right, I've already told people what regions I'll be in, what time frame. From here, I will be in Gauteng and by extension, Mpumalanga and Limpopo from the 10th to the 26th of August. From 26th to 28th, I'll be in KZN. From the 29th to 31st, I'll be in the Northern Cape, Nuppington. And then I'll be back in the Western Cape. And that's all I'm sharing for now. All right. No, my chest sounds horrible. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I've picked up some kind of crud, and it's not good. Luva Eve, thank you. Did you do a second 140 Rand, or am I in the wrong place? Yeah, you must watch my shorts to find out where my meet and greets are and what's going on. So it really works out well because it drives viewership to my shorts. So it's self-serving, but it also informs you. So season change. Yeah, well, season change, that's a myth. The weather changing doesn't give you viruses. People coughing and sneezing and droplets, or hugging 700 people and shaking 700 hands and then not washing my hand before I wipe my face is probably what gave me this crud. So the weather, you could stand in the cold naked with snow on the ground, you're not going to catch the flu. Not from that. You're going to get it from another Homo sapiens spreading it like typhoid Mary. That's how it happens. That's how it happens, folks. Stop believing the myths. Believe in the science. I know the Democrats and the leftists say the science is settled because they're science deniers. Isn't that funny how I turned that around? They call conservatives science deniers. But we're real scientists. We believe in science. Life begins at conception. Yeah, that's right. The cells divide, and a human being is created at conception. But no, they think you can terminate life up until 9 months. That's murder. But that's the one time they don't trust the science. Excuse me. Yeah, I haven't been checking the couches. No, these guys, this place is poor. They haven't got any money here. I mean, I didn't bother. The couches are all worn out. The leather is stained. It's kind of a dump. I mean, I'm really disappointed. I was offered this accommodation, and the hosts have been rude and snotty to me, and it's been pretty miserable so far. I mean, I think I'm just going to leave in the morning. I'm just kidding. It's been a wonderful place, but no, I couldn't check the couch cushions because my host is sitting across from me right now. And if I looked under the couch cushions, he would know that I would find the money he has stuffed in there. So when he goes to bed, then I'm going to sneak back into the common area and I'm going to lift up the cushions and I'll look for the money. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, come on, man. I always check the couch cushions. Ever since Pala Pala, it's the first thing I do. I get to the hotel room. I rip the couch cushions out. Now I even pull the chest of drawers away from the wall. I look behind there. I look to see if there's anything taped, an envelope on the back of the mirror. You never know. They put money everywhere. Hey, Cruiser Phoenix, what's going on? You look familiar. Have you worked in the vehicle tracking industry? Oh, Eugene. Okay. The law and Constitution second. Oh, that's true. Okay. Bob Marley would be making this kind of music. Yeah, that's true if he would. Please close. Okay, you guys still talking about the check down. What's worse? All right. You still talking about that? It's in Judy DeLong. Okay, I'm catching up now. I already saw this earlier. I had to go to SAPS for an affidavit. Okay. Okay, new rugby rival jersey. Okay, that's what I'm looking for, Loretta. Thank you for the update. I mean, there's nothing. I've got a hoodie that says Rugby's Greatest Rival, has like a little postage stamp in the center about that big, and it has the tour under, and it's gray, and so you can barely see the letters. I mean, that's disappointing. I thought there'd be all kinds of merch for rugby. South Africans need to get their heads out of their backside. There should be crap in the stores, jerseys that have it emblazoned on there. Each of the matches, they should, or maybe just one for the whole tour. I mean, they've got an All Blacks jersey. Remember, I bought that. I'm going to put tape over the All Blacks. We can't let anybody see the All Blacks, but it's beautiful. It's this dark maroon and black. I'll just tape over the All Blacks. But anyway, but they're really missing the boat here. But thank you for that, Loretta. I'll be looking for that tomorrow. Okay. Okay. All the constant interactions. Yep. Well, greeting people. I walked in my rugby prediction today. I'm very close to. Well, all to his glory. My Curry Cup predictions have been crap. I've done very poorly there. Oh, you guys are laughing. What did I say was funny? Must have been a couple minutes ago. Oh, under the mattresses. Hey, John. Okay. What about flight tickets? Flugkatkeys. Yeah, see, that's like Flug is spelled differently, but it's the same thing in German. F-L-U-G, and Katkeys would be cotton in German. See why I can fall off for cons most of the time? Anyway. Anyway, I've got lots of interviews I did last night that stuff edited and published. I'll get working on that. Again, tomorrow, 4 p.m., Somerset West, Im Eimer, which is German for in the bucket. Okay, an Eimer is a bucket, and Im is in dame. It's a contraction for you grammar Nazis out there, like me. In dame, Im. We contract that to come up with Im. Check a message from Debbie. Okay. I missed Debbie's super chat. Okay. Sorry, Debbie. Let me go back and look at that. Super chats. Earnings. Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, I missed. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. I missed a big one. That definitely wasn't intentional. My goodness. You get that kind of money thrown at you. You start playing 700 Rand. You definitely get my attention. Cannot hold my excitement anymore. Sorry for the caps. Got my approval today. You got your approval today and you only gave me 700 Rand. That should have been a 7,000 Rand chat. Come on. Just kidding. Congratulations, Debbie. That's incredible. Wow. You got your approval today and you used all caps. We'll let that one ride, especially since I missed it already. Anyway, congratulations. Wow. Big love in your legend, says Nicola. Nicola from Belito. Is that who it is? Somebody mentioned my name today in Benoni. Remember the guys from Cape Town? That was such a funny skit during COVID. It was so funny. Those guys were funny. Yeah, anyway, I don't know if they ever did anything. All right, so where are we at here? Let me get back to the chat. Weird question. Okay, you're in the UK, dual national with elderly parents out there. No viable visa options for them. Perhaps worth going back and making it go of USA. I don't know what you mean by that, Ocean Lander. Going back and making go of the USA. Do you mean you? So what do you mean? You want to go back to South Africa and then come to the USA? What, as a refugee? Can't do it. You have a safe haven passport. You are a British national. The US government will make you ineligible because you have a place to go. Does that make sense? Now, your elderly parent, if they're meet the categories and in South Africa, they could come to USA. You could visit them in the USA, but you're not going to be able to come to USA as a refugee because you're a British national. Unless you're married to an eligible person living in South Africa and you're living in South Africa, then you can do it. That make sense? Okay, congratulations, Debbie. So it wasn't a weird question. It was a good question, actually. Pizza Party says Debbie gave her hope today. Cool. Okay. Oh, everyone's excited about Debbie. All these damn people going to America before me, man. I'm still in South Africa. What's going on with that? So who wants to take bets who's going to be on the flight with me when I go back to the States? Anybody want to guess? We'll see. Should we do like a video from the airport? We should probably wait till the plane takes off and we're in the air before we do that. We don't want to jinx it and the engine doesn't work and people are stuck in Cape Town. Just saying. I'm just saying. Anyway, 153 likes. Come on, we do better than that. 208 people currently here. Yeah, no, Cyril's never been here. Trust me. That place doesn't stink. It smells nice here, so I know Cyril hasn't been here. There'd be an after smell if he'd been here. His cheap cologne. Yes, the science was settled in 2021. I invoke my Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination to that question, Senator. But Mr. Fauci, you said the science was settled. I'd like to invoke my Fifth Amendment right. Dude, unbelievable. At this point, the home, what is this, is probably wondering why the Colonel's grass is 3. I don't know, Holden. The homeowners association is not a problem. We get along really well, and I have someone to cut my grass. Yep. I mean, who do you think employs all those illegal Mexicans? It's not me. Not me. Oh, my goodness. Never forget your voice note you sent me when I got approved. Was classic when you said you scared the bejesus out of me. You did. Okay, so Eugene sends me a voice note. He's like in tears crying. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy just got an ineligibility letter. That's what I thought. And then I'm listening and I'm like, oh, what am I going to tell him to, express my disappointment for him and comfort him? And then he's like, I got my approval. I'm like, you jerk. You had me all choked up. I was almost crying. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he really had me going. He wasn't. He literally was crying with joy. I mean, in a grown man. I mean, he was so excited. Anyway. You're always in a new city every day, Colonel. Us ladies can't catch you. Well, that's because the Burmeister are too slow. Perhaps if you were on horseback, you could catch me. I'm just saying, just saying. Who's talking about Ronaldo? Ronaldo plays for Portugal, but not for much longer. He's 41. Do you mean Ronaldo? Okay. Cruiser Phoenix says he wants to fly with me. Well, you never know, Cruiser Phoenix. You might be flying with me. We'll see who flies with me. Look, I guarantee there'll be refugees on the flight. I mean, how epic is that going to be? When I go back, there will be refugees. Last year we said that. We said, what would that be like if refugees went? Of course, we had the 59. It was proof of concept, and then nobody came for weeks after that. Yep. But every day people are leaving. So, but Colonel Wyatt, I heard the program ended. I was told that the refugee program was over. Who told you that? Well, I got this email from Church World Service. You mean the standard auto reply that they send out since January 20th last year for all the people who couldn't come over? Doesn't apply to South Africa. The program is not ended. It continues with gusto. All right, what else? My daughter's so sad today. Her fiance got declined for every kind of assistance in California. Well, why is that sad? Okay, Utopi, little criticism coming here. You're a big boy. You can handle this. But why is she sad? The girl works like a beast. She's a working machine. Her boyfriend doesn't need to suck off the government's teat. He can follow her example and get off his bum and get out there and get a job. Start making money. He doesn't need handouts. Come on, and complan. Dude, your daughter is a hard worker. She learned from you. And her boyfriend can get out there and work too. Yes, I reported on the Kenyan airline had a flat tire and it closed down the airport for several hours. It was yesterday. Yes, Debbie, it might be a while for you to get flight tickets. That's true. 2 to 4 weeks is too good to be true. It's just a planning factor, okay? Will you be in Cape Town for meetups? Yes, I will be. I just said that we're doing one on Woodbridge Island on Saturday. And I will do one in Bloberg probably in September. And we'll see where else. I just did one in Durbanville yesterday. Tomorrow I'm doing one in Somerset West, which technically is Cape Town, but not really. All right. All right. Yeah, that 2 to 4 weeks approval doesn't mean you're leaving 2 to 4 weeks, folks. Please listen to me. Never meant that, okay? Never meant that. Anyway. So I guess Debbie's holding the 7,000 Rand super chat until she actually has tickets. Kalahari. Okay, I live in the Kalahari. Well, some refugees in Cape Town will fly out with me on the flight. There's no doubt about that. All right, folks, it's late. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? I used to say that on TV. I hated that. It's 8 p.m. Do you know where your children are? It was like off the bed. I hated that. Well, I'm going to wrap up here for this evening because I am knackered. I sound like crap. I feel like crap. I think I've given you my all tonight. Thanks to everyone for the super chats. For those of you who hung around this late, I appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it. How about a meet and greet in Tiger Valley? I just did Durbinville. It's like 5 minutes from Tiger Valley. Come on. Anyway, and that's going to be it for tonight. We'll see some of you at Eimer tomorrow if you want to buy the thumb drive. Also, exciting news. I have found a supplier to provide caps for the tour. We're going to design the caps and we'll have them when I get to Joburg. Okay. So you all be well and I'll catch you tomorrow. Okay. Have a good night. Cheers, everybody.